Okay, ladies and gents, so obviously I want to talk about the news here because the news of the day today is that Brittney Griner, she's finally back home. So hey, I'm happy for her personally. I was also one of those people that was hoping she was going to come back home as soon as possible because listen, guys, here's my honest opinion on this whole thing. The way how I see it, locking people up for the devil's lettuce, to sound it appropriate, is pretty freaking stupid if you want to know my honest opinion. And obviously in Russia, you can like get 10 years in jail all for, the devil's lettuce and all that stuff. And I think it's also like that in other Eastern European countries too as well, like Poland, Belarus. Well, I don't know about the laws in Poland because obviously with me being, Polish, I basically think that locking people up just for that is just absolutely dumb and ridiculous. That, the laws, in my opinion, especially like if you look at all the Eastern European countries, I think that locking people up just for the devil's lettuce is pretty stupid. And with Brittney Griner here, she basically was detained at an airport in Moscow. And a lot of people don't know this. The big reason why Brittney Griner was playing overseas is because she was earning more money playing basketball outside of the U.S. than she was here. So that's that. But obviously, hey, I'm happy she's back home. Happy for her. Nobody should ever just be locked up for something small like that. And the thing is, when she was at the airport, she barely had any hashish on her. Inside the vape cartridges, like they basically had, I guess, a very little amount of it. And the fact that they just gave her 9 years for that was pretty ridiculous. Was extremely ridiculous, if you want to know my honest opinion. Because obviously, I think that people that are still locked up for just the devil's lettuce, for just doing the devil's lettuce, I think they should be freed from jail. That's what they should do, because I think that especially in the U.S. there are still people that are still doing time in jail all for just for hashish, which is just absolutely ridiculous. It's like all the people that are serving time in a U.S. jail for hashish, in my opinion, they should be freed the way how I see it. But yeah, so obviously Brittney Griner, glad to see her back home. And obviously I'm also hoping though that the other two Americans that are currently locked up in Russia also get, released. The Whalen guy, I think it was Paul Whalen or something. And then the other guy, I think it's Mark Fogel, who's also locked up in Russia. So I'm still hoping that our government makes a really good attempt to bring the other two back home as well. Because, come on. That's somebody's family member at the end of the day. So obviously happy for Brittney Griner. And in exchange, we gave Russia Viktor Bout. So a lot of people don't know who Viktor Bout is. He's basically like a Russian arms dealer who basically, grew up in Tajikistan. That's where he's originally from, because he's from the country in which it used to be a Soviet republic. Because Tajikistan, a lot of people don't know this, but if you know history, Tajikistan, it used to be part of the Soviet Union back then. And, apparently with Viktor Bout, I never knew who he was until I started reading about, the headlines that, Brittney Griner could be released in exchange for Viktor Bout, the Russian arms dealer. And obviously the thing about Viktor Bout is that he earned the nickname the Merchant of Death and Sanctions Buster. That's right. So seems like a pretty intimidating dude to get the name the Merchant of Death, because basically the reason why he got that nickname was because he basically was he was accused by a Manhattan federal court, basically he was accused by the U.S. government and convicted of basically supplying Call of Duty weapons basically to something Zub, and delivery of anti-aircraft missiles, and providing aid to a terror organization. So I guess that's where he got the whole nickname the Merchant of Death. So this is something absolutely insane. And but going back to the Brittney Griner thing, to arrest somebody just for having vape cartridges with, under less than a gram of hashish oil is pretty freaking ridiculous. Like, seriously, it's dumb. Because obviously, it's like, I don't get why some countries still have, laws where you can get insane jail sentences all for, doing a bit of the devil's lettuce. Like, I think that's kind of dumb, well, not kind of dumb, but just extremely dumb. But I guess that's just the way how I see it. Like, I think locking people up, I do not believe in locking people up at all for hashish. I don't believe in that at all. But with Viktor Bout here, now I wonder how this thing is going to end up here, because with Viktor Bout, he was sentenced to a minimum of 25 years in prison, because obviously he was arrested in Thailand, I believe, before being given back to U.S. authorities. So right now, it seems like that this feels like the exchange, I guess you could say, of the century, the prisoner exchange. Well, I don't know, but I'm at the end of the day here, I'm still also hoping that we get Mark Fogel and Paul Whelan out of the prisons too, because I thought it would be only fair as well to get to not forget about the other Americans who are locked up as well, and all that stuff. But yeah, this is a pretty crazy news of the day. Brittney Griner, she's finally home, but the other Americans, we shouldn't forget about them. So I am hoping our government exchanges or works pretty hard or really hard to secure their releases as well, much like how they did with Brittney Griner, because I mean, come on, there are other Americans also locked up in Russia, so it's only fair that we also do the same thing like how we did with Brittney Griner, the way how I see it. But yeah, Viktor Bout, he's back in Russia now, so I'm wondering what he's going to do right now, because obviously for us to release for us to give back somebody that was convicted of basically supplying Call of Duty weapons to terror organizations is pretty crazy if you think about it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe. See ya.